And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way. And we're here with our episode on Walt Frazier, who will be defended by Drew and Wade, back-to-back teammates here on two episodes. The 6'4", 200-pound point guard who played his career for the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, with career averages of 18, 6, and 6 on 49% shooting from the field. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a 7-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champion, 6-time All-NBA. So, Wade, Drew, who wants to go first and start your argument?
You can start this one, Wade, since I started the last one.
Okay. Well, again, a player at the very bottom of my list. He is actually number 10 on my point guard list, and I think 48 on my total list. So, a player that obviously I thought should be on the list, but, I've said numerous times on here, it's easy to argue against players like this, because I think there's a handful of guys that you can rotate in and out of the end of the list. But I just thought through, 2 NBA championships, 7 All-Stars, 6 All-NBAs, 7 All-Defensive teams. That's extremely impressive. He played in the 60s and 70s, but unlike most players from that era, he was efficient. He didn't shoot 34% like some other players. He actually shot almost 50%. So I thought that was very impressive. He was an elite rebounder for a point guard, averaged over 5 a game, I believe, which is pretty impressive. He was an elite defender. He had a couple clutch performances to help them win their 2 NBA titles, the Knicks, that is. And I just thought when debating between him and a few other guys from my last point guard spot, I went with him due to those things.
I have Walt Frazier at number 8 on my list. I think with him accomplishing 2 titles, I think what really stood out to me was the 7 all-defensive teams. You don't see that very often besides a very few people in the NBA. I think Wade touched on it earlier. He played in the 60s and 70s, so you can go after that. But I think he did a little bit more than some of the other point guards. He accomplished a lot of things. He also has no MVPs, but I'm really happy with his all-defensive selection. Most point guards don't have 7.
Just a quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
I know the 2 titles. Was he the MVP of either title?
I do not believe so.
No, it was
Willis Reed got both of them.
Yeah, Willis Reed
got both of them. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Willis got one of them. I couldn't remember whether he got the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Well, is that the end of your all's opening statement?
Yeah, I'm done.
All righty. Well, I guess I'll just kick it back over to Ray, see what Ray's thoughts are here on Mr. Frazier.
Actually, I didn't have any research on him at all. I thought this was a whole different week, and I'm very unprepared. But I was watching some game footage, and I must be like a total dunce because I didn't realize he was a point guard. He was shooting like maybe a small forward or power forward does. He took it to like corner or elbow jumpers, and it really kind of threw me off. So I guess I'm just a big idiot. But he's got a pretty good shot. I'm pretty impressed. And the 7 All-Stars is good. The 7 all defense really blow me away. Like Drew said, nobody really gets that. Like only a select few really gets that prestige on that one. And all rookie, and what he got a MVP of the league too.
No, he didn't.
It was an All-Star game MVP.
The All-Star game.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, he looks pretty impressive. I don't have anything bad to say about him at all. So I mean, good job putting that on your list.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Uncle Doug, what do you got to say?
Okay. Well, one of the reasons I asked about the championship MVP, 70s final, the famous Willis Reed hobble
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most people, at least from my age, have seen that, saw Willis hobble out there. Truthfully, in that Game 7, Willis, that was about all he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he played, he put up a couple of shots. He was the inspiration for the team. But I'll help you guys out a little here. Frazier put up 36 that night with like 19 assists. He was like crazy good.
Yeah.
Talk about
I
showing
really
up.
thought he was MVP of that series.
I think
Yeah.
I saw it when I was researching this. It was like 36, 17, 8, and 5 steals.
Yeah.
It was like some
Oh,
wow.
ridiculous
Yeah,
night.
I mean, just he was.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked that. So yeah, I've watched Frazier play. He is good, but he was on some really good teams too. The Knicks had some really good players: Willis Reed, Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley, Earl the Pearl Monroe. They ran some pretty good guys through there.
A whole bunch of Hall of Famers.
Yes, they were some good teams.
Jerry Lucas.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I looked up. You know me, I kind of like to look at the numbers. Peaked out at like 23 points, 7 rebounds, and had a season with 8 assists. But for his career, his total points were like 133. His average points ranked 93rd. As far as rebounds, neither total or average makes the top 250. For assists, his assists were 66 all time. And then his average for assists is like 57. So he's really not hitting up there really high on any of that stuff. So I was kind of comparing him. My bottom 2 guys are Bob Cousy and Russell Westbrook. And when I got to comparing all the numbers, those 2 just came out a little higher for me. I did enjoy watching him play, and he had a lot of style. You know, he was something else.
I mean, the fur coats and the hats.
Oh, yeah.
And he's never afraid to talk. I mean,
That's right.
And after his career, he was an announcer for a
Right.
long time.
He was the perfect
he-
guy to have in New York.
Is he still announcing? I think he might.
Is he still doing it?
I think he might be doing
Yeah.
Nick games. I
He
think.
might still be. He's been on. I mean, I've seen him for my whole life.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Oh
doing
yeah,
it.
Have
New
a-
York loved Walt
Oh, yeah.
Frazier.
I have a quick question for you, Uncle Doug.
Yep.
What are him and Cousy's what are their stats comparison wise? That's just curious. I don't-
Okay, games. Frazier was like 825. Cousy's 924. Minutes 37.5 for Frazier, 35 for Cousy. Shooting percentage, Frazier's way better, like 490 to Cousy's 375.
Ooh.
Assists, Frazier's 6'1", Cousy's 7.5.
Okay.
Rebounds, Frazier was 5'9", Cousy was 5'2", which
Oh,
was better
okay.
than I thought he might be. Of course, steals and blocks I can't give you because Cousy's too old.
Yeah.
Well,
they-
even Frazier's too old, except for his last couple years in the league.
Yeah.
Right. And then points, Frazier was 18.9, Cousy was 18.4.
Okay. So they're pretty
And
comparable.
again, I can't tell you turnovers on Cousy. Frazier was like 2.1, and neither one had 3-point percentage to look
Well,
at. So.
Those are pretty close though.
Yeah, pretty
I had-
comparable,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That was one of my arguments too, because Cousy's one of my guys.
Right.
Too. I broke it down pretty good here. I feel like All-Star appearances is 13-7. All NBAs is 12-6. Rings is 6-2. MVPs is 1-0. Cousy played before there was all defense team, so he didn't have that to do. Although Frazier does have the impressive 7. And then, like you just said, the stats, they both average 18. They both average 5 rebounds. Cousy gets him by about assist and a half. Walt Frazier whoops him in field goal percentage. Cousy gets him by a few percent at the free throw line. And then, but their career numbers, Cousy outscores them and out assists them, and Frazier has 44 more rebounds than Frazier, or than Cousy. Sorry.
Okay, well, I have Bob Cousy on my list. I don't really have anything to
I was just curious. I didn't know how comparable they were.
Sure,
Yeah.
and really they're pretty close. It
I say they're
kind
both
of
right
comes
there.
down to, like Alex was saying, a few of the extra things.
Right.
you know.
Their statistics are super similar.
They are.
But then the hardware, when you compare hardware, it's not even close.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
he
Cousy
dub-
was on
he
the-
doubles and triples them and everything.
Yeah.
So
Cousy's on the most dominant team ever.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And they both played with a lot of Hall of Famers.
That's
they
true.
both played with a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
really good players.
Yeah. Oh, does that wrap yours up, Uncle?
Yep, that pretty much covers me.
All right. Well, I got my stuff over here. I have one big question about Walt Frazier, which boils down to two smaller topics for me. And my big question is, could Walt Frazier play in other eras of basketball? And my two subcategories of that was Frazier, a 6'4", 200-pound post player who played with a shooting guard in Earl Monroe, who was even smaller. So essentially, if he would be the two guard when somebody was guarding him. So could he play against other guards of size and strength of other eras and length? And just his offense was based on shooting 12 to 18 foot turnaround jumpers. The second thing is Frazier is playing his career, putting up consistent numbers, very consistent numbers, playing. And then the merger happens, and his career nosedives. Just, it's kind of unnerving to see how it happened. Which maybe the two things don't have anything to do with each other. It just, like I said in the past episode, it's very coincidental, if not. But I believe the thing that the merger brought was quick athletic guards, like John Lucas, Norm Nixon, Gus Williams, Kevin Porter, Johnny Davis, and Tiny Nate Archibald came into the NBA around that same time. And Frazier faded quickly with no injury, and was completely out of the league at 34 years old. On my point guard list, I had Bob Cousy, like we've already covered, so I'm not going to go back over that. But my other guy is Gary Payton, which I mentioned off air is a similar player to Frazier. They're both considered one of the greatest defensive guards of all time, and both physical, imposing point guards. So I just went over their careers a little bit to look at what I was looking at when I made my decision. With Payton, sorry, I'm really having problems here. My printer really messed up my sheet, and I'm having problems reading it. Payton clipped Frazier in All-Star appearances 9-7, and in All-NBAs 9-6. He has two more All-Defenses, 9-7. Frazier has the 2 rings to Payton's 1 ring, and Payton has the Defensive Player of the Year award, although Frazier played before the Defensive Player of the Year award was given out. So that's their hardware matchup. And then statistically, Frazier is 18-16 on the points per game, and 5-3 on the rebounds per game. They both average 6 assists a game for their career. Frazier wins the field goal percentage 49-46, but that's purely because of the 3-point line, because Payton shoots over 50% from 2-point range for his career. Because he shot from 3, it lowered his field goal percentage slightly. As far as totals go, Payton wins in a landslide in points and assists and beats him by about 400 rebounds. The biggest difference in their career, really, is that Frazier plays on a team full of Hall of Famers and Gary Payton didn't. So that was my big comparison there outside of Cousy.
Well, I had Gary Payton on my list as well. So the one thing with Gary Payton's title was he was sitting on the bench. The bench with the Heat when Shaq and D Wade won that. I mean, when I looked up Gary Payton for the list, I said title. I said he lost to Michael. So I had to actually look up and see where he won it at. So I was like, okay, that's where his title came from. But
yeah, he was the backup point guard behind Jason Williams, wasn't it?
Might have been.
Jason Williams.
Yeah, I didn't realize Payton got a title.
But hey,
when you said that, I'm like, what?
But yeah, titles are titles. I'm not gonna take it away from him. But
I'll take it away from him.
All titles are not created equal. I've said that a bunch of times. I'm not trying to say they are.
Oh, yeah.
And Payton had 3 finals appearances. He did lose to Michael.
Yeah.
He also lost to Detroit with the Lakers. and then he won one with the Heat at the end. Yeah. So
But I just want to point that out. I have Gary Payton on my list, so nothing against him.
Yeah, truthfully, I thought he retired after the failed Laker thing with he and Karl Malone.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
he
That
played
was
2 more years
ridiculous.
after that.
Oh,
Yeah, it was in 2005 when they won.
That was a mess.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the all-time greatest players, I mean, do we count a backup point guard championship?
I mean, I think it counts as a championship, but it doesn't count the same as.
It's not like he's the best player on a championship.
No, but
team,
neither was Walt
he?
Frazier.
I mean, he was
Yeah.
starting.
He was
Yeah,
closer.
He was a starting.
Walt Frazier when
starting
Willis was
point
out
guard,
there,
absolutely.
he showed up in Game 7.
I don't know. We don't have to focus on that. I
Yeah.
personally don't think it counts as anything, but that's not that important, to be honest. But I lost the championship. Maybe lose my train of thought. You can. Well, you both compared him to Kuzi, and I agree with a lot of what you said. But as far as translating, I personally kept Bob Cousy off my list because I don't think he translates at all to anything.
I know.
I think Walt Frazier could he could play in other eras. I don't know if he'd be dominant, but I think he could at least play. I don't think Bob Cousy can at all, personally. That's my opinion. I don't know how everyone else feels about Bob Cousy translating.
I think Bob Cousy translating is the biggest knock against him. But I've said in past episodes that in order for you to be considered from that era, you either have to put up ridiculous stats or you have to win a lot.
Well,
And
he
he
definitely
falls
won.
into one of those
Yeah.
categories.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like I said, it's the most winningest team ever. He definitely won.
I mean, obviously, again, he's not Bill Russell or Michael Jordan, the best player on those teams. But 6 championships is a lot. And he also has an MVP award.
Yeah.
No,
he
like
was-
having Cousy at the bottom of your list, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, you win 6 championships as one of the best players. That's extremely impressive, no matter what era you're in. Like I said, we're splitting hairs at the end of the list. I mean,
right, yeah, I think this is another one of those conversations where we're at the end of our list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think personally Walt Frazier could play in other eras. He was big, athletic, great on defense, could get to the basket, and as far as him retiring at 34, that was common back then. People didn't play 15, 20 years like they do now. They would play 10, 12 years, and that was
might
their
have found
career.
another job that paid him more money.
Yeah.
Triple the
They're
salary.
paid like they're getting paid
Yeah.
now.
It was very common back then.
You know, he probably had a lot of opportunities to do stuff.
I mean, he found another avenue as a successful announcer after he retired.
I mean, honest to God, I have no idea about the other career opportunities or whether or not they paid him as a player or an announcer. I don't feel like they paid him more to announce the games than to play, but they also got rid of him before that. They traded him to Cleveland, and the franchise and the fandom had turned on Walt pretty heavily before this. I mean, I just read about this. I didn't live through it like you did, Doug. But they were talking about how the fans and everything had turned on Walt because Reed and DeBusschere retired, and then Walt had 0 success after they left. So, and then they shipped him to Cleveland, and he played his last couple of years in Cleveland. But what bothered me more was the influx of athletes, and his career just fell apart. That's what bothered me more.
What year was the merger?
76.
76, 77, somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
and then
Yeah,
he
it was-
retired a year after.
He retired in 70. Well, he played a couple of games. He played 3 games in 79, 80.
Okay.
But
I
yeah,
mean-
his last real season. Well, his last real season is 77, 78. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the merger happened. He's near the end of his career, and the merger probably hurts him on top of it.
The merger happened when he was 30 years old.
30. Literally, back then, that was a career.
Sure.
10 years was considered a decent amount of time, and back then, any sort of little injury fucked you over for the rest of your career because there was no medical. I can't think of the right word.
No medical advancements.
Yes, correct.
I agree, and I'm not saying my argument is foolproof because it's not. It's based on some assumptions. It's clear. But it was, hey, I'm averaging 19 and almost 7 and 6 on 48% shooting, and and 82% from the line, and then all of a sudden these new players come, and it's like I take a step back, and then all of a sudden my career just is gone, and it's
Yeah.
like I mean, again, maybe it was. Who knows? Maybe he got a huge coke problem. I don't know. I have no idea why this happened. I'm just saying it because the merger happened the exact same time, and these point guards flooded into the league. It just made me think that maybe that had something to do with it, because his game was not based on quickness and athletic ability. He was just physical and backed guys down and got to his spot and shot his turnaround jumper.
Yeah.
I mean. And on defense, was his calling card, was his physicality, because he was bigger than so many other point guards and stronger, which wouldn't be the case today, or in most eras after that.
I mean, a 6'4" point guard is still decent size.
I mean, he's still decent.
Oh, yeah.
He's
That's still
decent
pretty-
size. But in
pretty
all
big.
reality, if you took that Knicks team and put them today, he wouldn't even be the point guard. He may play the point guard, but the two guards would guard him because his 6'2", 180-pound shooting guard would be guarded by the point guard probably.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of that stuff is due to that's literally how they played basketball back then. You didn't learn to shoot. A lot of guys didn't shoot back then. That was a rare. That was like a Jerry West thing, and I'm forgetting a couple players, but I mean that's how a lot of players played back then. Basketball has advanced a ton in the past 50 years. I mean,
3-point line changed things. There was an
mean-
advantage to shooting farther out.
yeah.
You
Yes.
know,
And then we talked in past episodes with like Dolph Shays and maybe Horizon, whatever the hell his name is.
Arizin. Well, like a generation before Walt Frazier, people didn't quite figure out how to even properly shoot a jump shot. And then, the game advances every generation to people learning different ways to play, more effective ways to play. And the effective thing to do back then, especially for him because of his size, size compared to other point guards, was to get them in the paint. So, I mean, yeah.
and to Walt's credit, he stepped up when they needed him, like the Game 7, obviously. Reed was out. He stepped up and played.
I honestly thought he had a Finals MVP before I looked at
I
it.
did too.
I thought he won one.
Why I asked.
Maybe I did. Just like I said, I'm pretty sure he had a really good NBA Finals that I read about or saw on a video on YouTube where he tore it up. But I guess they gave it to Willis Reed anyway.
Willis has both.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with, again, Frazier and the franchise and them kind of turning on him, without Reed and DeBusschere, again, if you don't replace those guys, and in New York, you start losing,
Especially New York. Yeah.
they're going to crucify you.
Yeah.
And especially when you're someone as popular and as outgoing as he was and well-known in the public, it made him an easy target.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we brought this up in I think it was Joe Dudemar's.
Joe Dumars?
Yeah, because they had their little 2 championships, and then everyone left, and he was left by
right.
himself, and he put up similar stats, but they won like 25 games a year.
Right.
So he, so it's it
Well,
happens.
I think the other thing that really hurts Frazier is, I brought up his nosedive, but that also caused his career numbers to be very unimpressive. He's way down on the list. I think Uncle Doug touched on the exact where he is on some of these
Right.
lists, but he's way down on the totals list. Like I said earlier, Payton wipes the floor on him with totals, but but he also played like 500 more games.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Walt only played like 825
Right, which is
game-wise.
which is very on the low end for guys with all-time greats that we've been talking about. I mean, yeah, it's more than some of the current guys that are still in the middle of their careers. Like we talked about, Kawhi's only like at 500. I don't think we talked about how many Harden had or Westbrook, but that's 800 games is not a ton. I mean, it's not something we could be like, well, 800 games is nothing. I mean, it's still a decent amount, but he really hurt himself on the totals because of his quick demise, I guess.
Well, you mentioned Westbrook. Westbrook's already played over 900.
Oh,
Say Harden's at 875.
Yeah, there you go.
We got to think those guys have played. Well, you said Harden's at 875, Frazier's at 8 something.
825,
I mean,
yeah.
Harden has played 11 seasons or 12 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Frazier's career right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, it's just a different time. Different.
And, I brought this up in past episodes, but it really irritates me when we get an incomplete picture of this stuff. Like, there's no threes, There's no steals and blocks for half his career. There's no turnovers for almost his entire career. His last 3 seasons, which 2 of which don't even really count. He played a total of 15 games the last 2 years.
Well, I think
You
the
know.
one that really hurts him is the steals, because even they don't count him in his prime of his career, and even at the end he still gets 2 a game.
Yeah.
So in his prime, he's getting more, and
So
he
he's-
might be high on the per game steals list.
So he's got 7 all defense teams, so he's probably, I'd guess, probably about 4 or 5 steals, if not
And-
more.
And maybe be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year award if
Yeah,
it
if they had
existed.
that, he could get a couple of those.
I mean, this again, we don't know, but this is stuff you got to think about for the time period at least. Does anyone else have anyone besides Kuzi and Payton as their last couple? Just for
Well, I do believe number 10 on your
Mine was Isaiah Thomas and Mark Jackson.
oh, okay. I mean, I have Isaiah Thomas a lot higher.
I think we all have Isaiah Thomas on our list. It's just where at, but he's higher on the rest of ours.
And my last 2 were Westbrook and Kuzi.
My last 2 were Gary Payton and Steve Nash.
Oh, Nashy Boo. You really have him that low?
I have my opinion on old Nash.
We all have Nash, but he's much lower on Drew's.
I think I have him at 6 or 7, but I mean, I'm not mad or gonna argue with anything you guys have said. I mean, it's number 10. It's okay. They're all.
I don't have a problem with him being on there because I liked watching him play.
I mean, he was considered one of the.
It was a little bit of a different time.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, he was considered maybe not the best in the conversation of the best point guard in the league for the prime of his career. He was in the conversation for a certain generation of the NBA. He has titles, the all defensive teams, the all NBA teams. I thought it was impressive. I thought I translated better than Kuzi, personally, but I don't know, that's what stuck out to me. The Gary Payton he's probably number 11 for me. I almost put Payton on the list. I debated with him and Walt Frazier, but the championships was probably the tilt for me personally. But there's nothing wrong with having Gary Payton on your list, I don't think.
You're damn right. There's nothing wrong with having
Yeah.
Gary
How
Payton.
about
on your list.
Well, 3 of us have Gary Payton on our list, so in case people are wondering, that episode will come shortly.
Little glove. And Walt Frazier was a dominant defensive player like Gary Payton, so I mean, it's both their calling cards, I'd say, probably.
And Walt might have even got a little more all defensive, but I think if you look up, and I don't have this in front of me, I apologize. Earl Monroe was also a major defensive point guard at the time, and the Knicks picked him up partway through Walt's career, and because they were kind of counterparts or rivals of each other, and they're both on the same team then. And they said that the Knicks had an amazing backcourt with those two both being 2 of the best point guard defenders. Well, chances are the league's not going to put them both on the all-defensive team when they're on the
Yeah.
same team.
Yeah.
That's true.
So maybe there was some stuff there.
I don't know. I have no idea. You may be 100% right. I don't know. I just looked up Earl Monroe, and he has 0 all defensive teams.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't
I
know.
thought
I
he
don't-
had more than that.
Hmm.
I thought he had some. Sorry.
He's a 4-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA, and a Rookie of the Year.
I kind of thought he'd have more accolades than that. He was considered a phenomenal player back in the day. Great scorer. Was he the one they called Black Jesus?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Was supposed to be, phenomenal scorer.
Yes.
And yeah.
Earl the Pearl, Black Jesus, Black Magic, Einstein, the Lord's Prayer, Thomas Edison, the Magic Man.
So he had every nickname.
Yeah,
He had 'em
tons of
all.
names, apparently.
I mean, those, if you take into consideration the era that they played in, that's one of maybe the better championship teams or dynasties, whatever you want to call it, probably assembled. They were a great team with
Well, I
Walt
mean-
and Monroe and
My question is, and this question is more suited for Uncle Doug than anybody else sitting here, is why didn't they win more? If I put 5 or 6 Hall of Famers on the same team, why did they only come away with 2? I mean, I know the Celtics won 2 during the 70s.
The Lakers
Bucks
won at
won
least
1. The
one.
Lakers
Bucks.
won 1.
I think that Willis Reed was a good center, but I believe Willis is about 6'9". Then you brought in guys like, of course, Chamberlain, who was bigger. He played at the same time.
Jabbar.
Jabbar, of course, was in there.
Bill Walton.
And, well, Bill Walton was a little later, but then we're talking about with the merger, you brought in guys like Artis Gilmore, who played with the Bulls. This was a really good center. And there were a couple more big 7-foot guys that came in. And I think Willis Reed started breaking down.
Yeah.
And you put those 7-footers in there, it's a lot harder for some of those guys to get their mid-range shot off like Walt was known for. And I think that kept them down some.
Yeah. I also think, I could be wrong on this, but I also think they were a little spread out age-wise as far as some of them were in their primes at different moments, I believe.
Reed was done after 74.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought in 70, like I said, he was
Yeah.
hobbled and hurt. And
Well, I
I
think
think that began a string of injuries.
weren't Lucas and DeBuscher older on the older side than Frazier and stuff too.
I'm
I want to say
not sure about Lucas. I think maybe DeBuscher might have been.
so. I don't know if they were all necessarily in their primes at the same exact time, but I'm not sure. I thought they were a little spread out, but
DeBuscher was retired the same year as Reed.
okay. So yeah.
74, yeah.
And this is kind of crazy. This is DeBuscher's stat line this final year in the NBA. 18, 10, and 3.
And retired, huh?
Yeah, and retired after that season. Maybe he got an IBM job.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't remember what happened to DeBuscher.
I can't remember how old Lucas was either. I don't remember if he was older. I think he was an older player. I thought.
Bill Bradley played through 77.
Well, that's close.
Okay.
That's close to Clyde.
Yeah.
Is he a Hall of Famer? He's not a Hall of Famer, is he?
Yes, he is.
Really? I did not know
Bill
that.
Bradley is all there. Who else did you ask about? I'm sorry.
Lucas.
Yeah.
I thought he was older, but again,
Which Lucas are we looking for?
is it Jerry?
Jerry.
Jerry Lucas. Yeah.
Jerry and John. I always get them confused. He retired the same season as Reed and DeBuscher.
Oh, so in 74 they all bailed.
Okay.
So did
So-
something go on there, or is that? I don't know. Does anyone else feel that kind of weird? How all three of them just kind of.
Well, I'm gonna say they couldn't get along with Frazier and they all left.
He's the James Harden of the 70s, I guess.
Wade, you're not helping us.
That conversation's over. It's
But
fine.
I will say this: Reed and Lucas, they were definitely on the downside of their career when they retired. I mean, Lucas his last season was averaged 6 points, 5 rebounds, and they had Reed at 11.6 rebounds in his last year.
Right.
So their primes weren't quite matched up at the same time as I don't know about a couple of the other guys like Monroe and.
Monroe played longer than Frazier.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they're about the same then, but yeah. Well, all right.
But
Yeah.
that's a lot of Hall of Famers, man.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, we just went and looked up more Hall of Famers than there are starting spots on this team.
But the teams they did that also won in that era were, Jabbar and Oscar,
Right.
those the Celtics, at the end of their
The Lakers.
the Lakers with
the end of Chamberlain's career. and
Chamberlain, West, all those guys.
Baylor.
So
and
those
all
are-
guys.
Some of the other, even though they might have had another Hall of Famer or two, the players we're listing are like the elite of the elite on our list, like Chamberlain, Jabbar, Oscar, Jerry West, all top 2, 3, maybe 4.
You know who else is on our list who won a championship during this time? Rick Barry.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, with the Warriors.
Yeah, and he didn't have near the talent the other teams did.
No.
No.
And we'll be discussing very soon. Doesn't he come up in the next few episodes?
I believe he is 2 episodes from now. I think we have McHale and then Barry.
I don't know.
I think that's our next 2 episodes.
Oh, okay. So we transition to the 3.
Yeah, McHale is our first 3-person,
Oh, okay. All right.
then Barry.
So Mikhail and Barry, the next 2 episodes.
Yep. So this is our last 2-person defense. And we go into 3-person defense on the next
Sweet.
episode.
Oh, I'm looking forward to McGill.
Oh, I am too.
I'm waiting for
I've-
Uncle Doug.
I've waited.
Yeah.
So
I am.
long.
I'm looking
No
forward to that.
way.
I'm waiting for that side of the room.
No, Wade. I got something good.
Okay. All right, with a little splatter of Drew. Me and Ray are just gonna watch.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
So it's got to be, it just falls on me again, huh?
I just want to watch you and Uncle Doug battle it out.
I got my
There's very strong feelings on both sides there.
I've got my 2 cents to put in
Okay.
that.
I'll throw something at Drew for you to battle him.
I have a
What?
2-page opening statement.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Never mind. Ray might steal the
This is
show.
gonna be good.
Wade just gonna sit over in the corner.
I'm
Little
just
tease for the upcoming episodes here,
Yeah,
guys.
stay tuned, everyone.
well. To be completely honest, I don't think we're really arguing too much about Walt Frazier.
No, not really.
We seem fairly content on Walt.
Honestly, it's not like I dislike Walt. Like Ray said earlier, I don't have negative things to say about him. It's not like I was trying to beat him up or say. It's not like, he's clearly a Hall of Famer. He deserves to be in the Hall.
Right.
He was a really good point guard for, a decade or whatever, and he has some very redeemable qualities. His defense, and to shoot 49% from the field, being primarily a jump shooter, is impressive.
In that era, like we were just talking about, Kuzi shooting like 36%. Was it
Yeah.
30? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like 13% higher. That's pretty. That was one of the things that stuck out to me. The 49% in that era. That's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
And not being 7 foot tall.
Well, do we want to give our closing statements on Frazier then?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Ray, you got something for us?
I think everything's really been said. Great career. Can he translate the other errors? Maybe, as a bench player. But I mean, for the era that he played in, he was, really great, phenomenal. Maybe later on in his career, it just didn't work out because there was a certain style in the NBA that didn't translate to the ABA players. But I mean, you can't deny what he put up before all the merger and stuff happened. I mean, Walt Frazier. What else can you say?
There you go.
I liked Walt. He was in consideration. My other 2 bottom guys just had some extra stuff that pushed him over the top. But again, I think this is just one of those discussions where we're talking about guys at the bottom of our list, and guys that we like, guys that were good players. Somebody just values one little thing more than somebody else.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly where Frazier came in on my point guard list. I don't think he was 11, but I think he was shortly thereafter, 12 or 13, somewhere in there. He was in definite consideration. I mean, I am a guy that values titles, so his 2 titles do stand out to me. But like I said earlier, one of my guys that I have that Wade didn't have, or I guess Drew does have, had 6 titles. So, I mean, that was a big thing there. And like I said earlier, Payton and Frazier are similar players. I just gave Payton the slight edge. I don't knock either one of them for having Frazier. I think he is an all-time great. He just fell slightly outside my top 50.
I mean, we don't have to repeat everything we've all been saying, but pretty much in comparison to Kuzi and Payton, who were pretty much seems almost everyone compared them to, including me. I chose him over Kuzi due to I don't think Kuzi translates at all in any other era. I think Frazier could at least play in some other eras. And then with Gary Payton, the titles. He got 2 titles. I don't count Gary Payton's backup title. And that's pretty much what my comparison is as far as those 2, and that's why I gave him the nod for number 10.
Walt made my list. His 7 all defense, I thought that was very impressive. Most people
Remember that next week.
Oh, Lord, don't even. I got something else for you. I'm not saying it because I can't ruin it. I've been waiting. But anyway, back to my thing. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Gosh dang it.
Sorry, Drew.
Yeah, totally drawing a blank now. Well,
I really do
okay.
apologize.
I remember now. I think, like Wade said, I think he could play in other eras. Not dominate, but I think he could do it. Translate to other eras. With his 49% shooting, maybe probably go down a little bit, but I think he could translate.
Like he could be like Frank Ntilikina or something.
Don't know who that is, but I think a little bit better than old Frank.
He's a backup point guard for the Knicks who's a defensive guy.
I mean, yeah, and he could. Sure, go for it.
I just went with the Knicks because it's the same franchise. I just
Anyway, but yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that leads us to the trivia section of the episode.
All right.
Who has it? Who
I
has
got
the
it.
question Ready?
I
All
got
right,
it.
let's go, Drew.
Two-part question.
Oh,
Gotta
boy.
get both
Oh,
parts.
man.
Well, if it's I have to come up with multiple draft scenarios, I quit.
It's nothing about the draft.
Oh, okay.
Who has the most all-defense selections and how many?
So who has the most all-time all-defensive selections?
Yeah, and then how many?
Wow, I do not know. This is gonna be another guess because I don't know the answer for sure.
All right, I got to guess.
Do we have to get both right to get a point?
Yes, sir.
Oh crap!
All right. Oh my gosh.
All right,
All right, I got to guess.
me too.
Y'all ready?
Yep,
All right.
I got Rodman with 9.
I got Matumbo with 9.
I said Elijah won with 15.
Okay.
I said Jabbar with 15.
Well, you got the 15 part right, but it's Tim Duncan.
Oh.
Did not know that.
And Kobe's second with 12.
Wow. I would not have guessed. I mean, he was a good defender in his prime, but I wouldn't have guessed him with that many.
Tim freaking Duncan.
I can see it, though. He was a good defender his entire career.
Yeah, I mean he was. Even at the end when he wasn't scoring that much, he was still a really good
Yeah.
shot blocker and stuff.
That's why it was
I
still.
didn't, but I'm not gonna lie, Tim Duncan didn't even cross my mind.
I thought Jabbar and Elijah won. That's who came to my mind.
I went straight to Rodman. Honestly, I was like, that's gotta be Rodman, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so no points there. Anybody else got a question ready?
Yep, I do.
Let's go, Ray.
All right. Which team did Wilt Chamberlain play on before his time with the Philadelphia Warriors in the 58-59 season?
So is this an NBA team or no?
Well, you have to tell me that.
Philadelphia. You said the Warriors. Well, Uncle Doug knows it. God damn it.
Yeah, as soon as you win, you can't see what I'm doing, but it's me writing down as soon as Ray gets done with the question.
No, I think I know it.
Okay.
Okay, my question was to know if we were trying to name an NBA team, but I think I know what the answer is.
Okay.
Does everyone else have theirs?
All right, let's go. Wait.
Go ahead and turn it
Okay,
down.
I'm ready.
The Globetrotters.
Globetrotters.
Okay, I didn't put the Globetrotters.
Yeah, I didn't put the
He
Globetrotters.
went there but for a year between Kansas
Right,
and
yep.
the pros, yeah.
The Globetrotters is the correct answer.
I can go, I guess. All right. I'm going to keep my theme going here. In Milwaukee Bucks history.
There we go. How come they never Celtics or Lakers or, Knicks, teams we know?
Pick the Charlotte Hornets.
Because
who've been
everything's
three different
Jabbar,
names over the
Magic,
years.
Bird, and Russell.
I know.
And anyway, in Milwaukee Bucks history, who has the assist record? All-time assist record.
Oh, man. Who played on the Bucks? Son of a bitch.
Mine's a guess, but I think it's an educated guess.
Trying to think.
Yeah, I got to guess.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this.
There's
I
no,
don't know.
glaring point guard or anything that I can think of. All-time great or something. It's clearly John Stockton.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did you ask us who the Jazz's all-time assist
Yeah.
leader is?
I try to find interesting ones you got to think about.
He's trying to keep our numbers down. He
Yeah,
wants to keep his lead.
I mean, that's just an added benefit. Ray, let's hurry. I got to pee.
I gotta pee as well.
Okay.
Who we got?
I got Pressy.
I got Sidney Moncrief.
Oscar Robertson.
I put Ray Allen.
It's Pressy.
Thank you.
Oh, good job, Alex.
Moncrief was second, and the Greek Freak is third.
Already?
Already.
Wow, way to go, Giannis.
Jabbar's eighth.
All right, who's next?
You and me? You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, we were talking about Walt Frazier tonight. Walt was, I believe, born in Atlanta. Plays most of his career in New York. Where did Walt graduate from college or play college ball? I don't know. I'm assuming he graduated.
I have no idea. I have not the slightest clue. So I have to guess one of the 4,000 colleges across the United States.
Culver Stockton College. All right.
We would have heard about that.
Yeah. You're right. It's John Wood.
Let's see. I was thinking QU myself.
Great day to be a Hawk.
All right. Can't read what I wrote, but I can tell you.
All right, I got my guess.
1 second. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, I got Georgia Tech.
I just put Georgia.
I put Georgia Tech as well.
Let's put North Carolina.
SIU, Southern Illinois.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye. That's why I put it down. I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Hey.
All right, well,
Oh.
that was a good question of the day. All right, well, I guess that leaves it to me. Who is currently leading the NBA in steals per game
Currently in steals?
this season? Obviously not career or anything.
Screw it and write something down.
Not a lot of flashing pens after this question.
No.
Everybody got it?
No.
I have a guess. That's not a got it.
All right.
All right, I got it.
All right, let's see him.
But Chris Paul.
Darren Fox.
Kawhi.
Paul George.
The correct answer is Jimmy Butler.
Ooh.
Dirty Jimmy.
With 2.1, not a ridiculously high steals per game average. I mean, not that it's bad, but I just mean.
Well, I mean, they don't play defense anymore, so I mean, it's not going to be high.
All right, well, that wraps up our trivia section. And the scores are now as follows. Ray with 13. Alex with 23. Drew and Doug both with 26. And Wade with 30. Doug got one closer to Wade, but the lead is still the same overall. I cut into Drew and Doug's lead over me a little bit. And that'll wrap it up this week. Tune in next week for our Kevin McHale episode. The Laker guys will hate on Kevin McHale next week. And thanks for listening to Sports the NEMO Way.